right, good afternoon. This is Hurley Burnside representing Mitchell Humphrey Software. Today is going to be a webinar on the new upgraded version of CRM, which would be CRM 365. It's going to be a good preview, high-level preview of what you can expect when you see some of these upgrades come through on your end. And also just to give you a heads up of what you can expect to come. So I've got some slides prepared here just to kind of walk you guys through exactly what's going to be going on. So here's the agenda. The main portion of this webinar will be me going over some of the navigation changes, or the majority of the navigation changes, because that's really a big portion of the upgraded version of CRM from 2016 till now, or from 2011 till now. A lot of it is based around the navigation or the user interface, so I'm going to spend a lot of time on that today. I'm also going to show you some of the things that are absolutely new or improved, and then we'll get comfortable with a little bit of a demo of those actual changes so you can see them working in action. All right, here are the expectations for this webinar. Of course, I don't want you guys to hesitate to ask questions. Feel free to put your questions inside of the chat, and I will be checking the chat periodically throughout this presentation to make sure that I don't miss anybody's questions. But I definitely welcome all questions throughout this, and just go ahead and slide them in the chat, and like I said, I'll get to them throughout the presentation. One thing you want to make sure of course, is that you can hear me. If you can, just slide a yes inside of the chat box. If you can't, slide that into the chat box as well, and I'll try to troubleshoot that for you. But you do want to keep your device on mute. That's the best way for everybody who is inside of the webinar to be able to hear at all times and not have to deal with any feedback or that sort of thing. So use the chat box as much as you can. If there's something that you need to say, or if there's something that I missed, or if there's something that you have any questions about, please do not hesitate to put it in the chat. I actually keep all of those questions, and if there's one that I can't answer or two that I can't answer, I will reach out to you after this engagement to be able to clarify and give you some answers. Okay, and just a little note here, the existing CRM users, so if you're an existing 2016 user and basically you'll just be moving up one level to the 365, most of the stuff that you'll see that is going to change, or is that has been upgraded, is going to be related to the navigation. Some of it will be related to the delete performance and the lookup clearability, but all of that is really navigation as well. So that's where you're going to want to pay attention the most. While existing 2011 users, which would be the platform before 2016, you're going to see a little bit more of a change as it relates to your navigation. It's still navigation changes, but it'll just be a lot more different in comparison to what you're used to in the 2011. So this would be a great webinar to take the recording and send out to your staff, because clearly it's a difference in the user interface. All right, so one of the main things that has changed that you might not necessarily notice until you begin to use it is that Microsoft has finally fixed the delete performance in this update. So when you get the 365 package update, when that service pack is released, what you will notice is that when you delete a record, any record, it's going to allow you to delete that record or those records a lot faster than it was before. As you can see right here on the slide, it used to take about 90 seconds plus for you to be able to delete certain records or any records inside of CRM. on the previous platforms, and that has now changed. And I'm going to give you a brief demo of that coming up here. But I want you to keep that in your mind because a lot of people had some feedback as it relates to the performance of CRM when you're trying to delete records. So they heard your calls and they have issued an answer, and I'll give you a brief demo of that coming up here shortly. The next thing that is different in CRM 365 is going to be, again, the navigation. Okay, so what it's most similar to is Windows 8 as it compares to anything else, because of the tiles, because of the big emblems that are there, and the modules and the navigation bar, and everything being found on one record page, or one view rather, you having to go to several different screens to see the information that you want. What Microsoft has done has kind of simplified the navigation, if you will. So what it allows you to do is get to where you're going with less clicks and see more of what you want to see in less space, if that makes sense. So again, this is all going to look a little bit better to you once I show it to you on a demo, but I just want to let you guys know what is coming. All right, so this is a slide that is giving you a brief look at what you are experiencing currently if you are on the 2011 platform. Okay, you'll notice that the main navigation bar is found over here. You'll find your records or your views right here, but basically you get to where you want to go from navigating on the side menu. Okay, and those of you guys who are on 2016, this is going to look a lot more familiar. As you can see, the navigation bar or the toolbar has moved from the side where it was over here on 2016. Now it's moved up here to the top. So all your toolbar, all your different actions, all your different navigations and modules and all that good stuff is now going to be accessed through this top toolbar instead of over here on the side. It's basically them just flipping that toolbar up here and giving it some updated emblems for the different things that you can do within the toolbar, but it's basically the same options, just different navigation. All right, so the next thing we want to take a look at is this screenshot, because this is what 365 looks like. Now, it's not too much of a difference between 2016 to 365 as it relates to the look, but the navigation can be a little bit different if you've grown accustomed to navigating this way or grown accustomed to navigating in 2011. So this is really how it looks, and the purpose of showing you this slide is just to get you prepared for the fact that it will not look like this anymore. It will look like this. Now, a lot of the same things up here in 365 do the same things that they did over here, but what you'll notice is that this hamburger menu is what I call it, is no longer here. Okay. Now, what this hamburger menu did in 2016 is gave you access to the modules, the different modules that are here, which are the same modules that you're looking at here. Okay. And what they did was they just combined this menu into this menu in 365. So essentially, this button or this menu key here will give you the same output as this one. I mean, as the hamburger menu did in previous versions. And it's, like I said, it's going to make a lot more sense when we go through the demo. I just want to let you guys know what is coming. All right. So here's a better look at what has changed and the main look that has changed. Okay. So up here at the top we have 2016. Okay. Of course, all my 2011 users, again, this is now going to be your menu. It's no longer going to be on the side like it was on my previous slide. It's actually going to go ahead and flip up here to the top. So if you're not on 2011, if you're not on 2016 right now, you can expect to completely bypass this and end up here. okay? And so what they've done is they basically just simplified this toolbar. Instead of you having 5 places to click, you now have 4 places to click. It essentially takes you to the same place, okay? But it is imperative that you practice and get comfortable with the new navigation, because half of managing a CRM system is pretty much knowing where to go and where things live. And so this is going to be home base kind of sort of. So I would encourage you to practice the navigation as well. Okay. All right. So let's take a closer look at just the navigation real quick. Let's go straight into CRM. Here. All right. So as I stated before, this is the new 365 platform of CRM as far as Fast Track Gov is concerned. And as you can see, it is essentially a lot cleaner. There's less chaos up here, I would say, and there's just less buttons. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take myself into the licensing module first. Okay, and I'm going to change this view to active documents. Okay, now the first thing that I want to show you is that this button essentially does the same thing as it did in 2016. It'll take you right back to this home page. So this is basically the home button, okay? And you can always get back to home regardless of what record you're in. You can be in citizen interaction, or you can be over here in violations. And if you needed to get back to your home screen where it's showing you all the different modules and all the different places you can go, you simply click this button one time, okay? The other thing that I wanted to make sure that I emphasized in this webinar is the fact that they took away the hamburger menu, but they didn't take away the hamburger menu functionality, okay? So as most of you will remember, in 2016, basically you had a situation to where you would click on the hamburger menu and it would give you essentially this, right? To give you access into these modules and then give you access into these different entities, okay? Now it is a situation to where you simply need to click the drop-down box of where you are, okay? Let's say you were in sales and you were on a dashboard in sales, okay? Well, to get anywhere else in sales, you're going to need to click the drop-down box next to sales and then go ahead and navigate to whatever module you want to go to and then select whatever entity you're trying to reach. If you don't see what you need to see as far as it relates to the entities that you need to work with, then I would definitely contact your IT department in relationship to your security roles, because that is going to dictate what you can see here and what you can access here. It's going to be based upon your security roles and privileges, and that's going to be something that you're going to want to make sure to validate after you receive this upgrade package, just to make sure everything is still the same, nothing's moved around, nothing got deleted or changed or anything like that, okay? So that is the difference between 2016 and 365 as it relates to the hamburger menu. Instead of you clicking that menu itself on its own, you will now just simply click the drop-down box of the module that you are already in, okay? All right. Now, the next thing that I want to go over is how you navigate within records, okay? As you can see right now, I'm currently in the case records, or to some people this will be known as the code compliance module, where complaints are logged and violations are issued and inspections are done. So that's where I am right here. I'm in that big case record module, okay? Now, what I want to show you now is the difference between how records can be deleted, okay? So I'm going to just select a few records here. Just, no specific order, no specific meaning, okay? And I'm simply going to go up here and press the delete button. Now, it still will take a little bit of time, and if you don't have the sufficient privileges to delete, it won't delete the records that you don't have the privilege to do. But as you can see, it's significantly faster than it was before. Like I said, it was in excess of 90 seconds before to just delete one record, let alone 5, like I just did. So I actually was able to get those 4 records deleted. It actually left this one here, but I was able to delete the rest of them, and that's that new upgraded delete performance functionality. Okay, but from here, while you are in a specific entity, looking at specific records, of course, you can always change the views. Okay. As you see right now, I'm looking at all active case records. I can look at all case records. I can also look at the inactive case records if there's any, so on and so forth. So all of these views in here are still here in relationship to where they were in 2016. And also, you have the same abilities to navigate these views and these records while you are inside of them. Okay. The other thing that you need to be aware of are the different options that you have in the toolbar, okay? A lot of these are the same exact options that you had in your previous platform, but I just want to touch on them just in case something doesn't look the same, okay? So this is going to be your universal search, same thing as before. You can search a case number, you can search a case record type, you can search a primary contact name or an address, however you plan on looking up the record that you are looking for. You can definitely enter it in here and find that record, okay? This button is going to be your recent records, okay? So this is going to be the recently viewed records that you yourself as a user have viewed, okay? It's also going to give you your recent views, which means what were the last group of records you were looking at, okay? And that's basically correlated to what I'm looking at over here. This is a view, and that's what is showing you here, the most recent views that you've accessed, okay? The Quick Create button is the same as it was before in 2016. It allows you to quickly create records on the fly when you need to, okay? And of course, the infamous Advanced Find is still here. It's depicted by a funnel now, and it's the same functionality. It's the exact same Advanced Find, or AKA Query, that you had in the previous platforms, and it operates exactly the same, okay? Here is going to be your different options and your different settings and your different basic options. You can get to your help, you can get to the app, you can get to the about, you can get to the different options from here as well. Of course, this is the help button. I'm not going to open that up right now because it's going to take a minute to load, but that's the Microsoft Help button, so that will essentially take you to the Microsoft Help website, and then you can basically search and do whatever you need to do on that site. Here is going to be your personal settings and standards, and this is also where you can add a Bitmoji or a picture to represent yourself here. This is also where on-premise clients will go to sign out if you needed to sign out. If you are on-premise, it will give you the option to sign out up under this button, okay? All right, so just like I was going over, that toolbar is the premise of most of the difference in user interface, okay? And this is just a slide to give you a basic description of exactly what this toolbar holds and what this toolbar does, just like I just showed you. So, of course, this takes you to the home screen. This is the main menu now, no longer the hamburger menu. This is known as the navigation bar as a whole, okay? This is global search. This is your recently viewed records or recently viewed items or views. This is your quick create button, and this is your advanced find. And these three over here are your options, your help, and your personal picture or your sign out options, okay? All right, and just like I was explaining when we were looking at the actual navigation, this is really the navigation structure, okay? And I'm going to jump right back into CRM real quick just so you can see a visual of what this means, okay? What that means is this is your different module. Let me go back. That's your different module, okay, which is right here. This is what's known as a module. So these are all the different modules up here. But then when you get down here, these are all the different entities you can access, okay? So once you choose an entity, these are the records. These are the different records in the entity, okay? So that's exactly what this slide means here, is that it's a hierarchical navigation structure, and that is the different doorways essentially you can go through. So you first go through the module doorway to get to the entity, and then you would go to the entity doorway to get to the record, okay? And here's just a visualization of that as well, okay? All right, now let's talk a little bit about the command bar, okay? Now, recognize that there's a difference between the command bar and the navigation bar, okay? The navigation bar is the one that we've been talking about thus far, which would be that blue bar that contains all the different options that you have to do as it relates to navigation. The command bar is giving you different options for the records that you are viewing, okay, or within the entity that you are viewing those records. The list of available actions that can be performed is going to be in that toolbar, okay? So I'm going to jump back in there and show you exactly what this means, but this slide exactly tells you what the command bar is, okay? So every entity is going to have its own set of command bar options, and I'm going to show you that in just a sec. But what this is basically doing is allowing you to create, delete, or manipulate the records that are on this page, okay? All right, let's jump back in here so I can give you a brief look at exactly what that means. All right, so right now I am currently in case management, and I'm looking at inactive records. I'm going to switch this to active records real quick. And there we go. All right, as you can see here, I'm in active case records, and here's my toolbar, right? So what this is basically doing is giving me my different options for these records found within this entity, okay? So it's very important to understand where you are and what you are trying to accomplish before you start using some of these command bar options. Because what it's going to do is, I'm in the case management module, so if I click new here, it's going to create a new case because I'm in the case management module in the case management entity. It's going to create a new case. Now, if I switch my entity or switch my module to let's go to licensing and permits, and let's switch that view to active view so we can see the records that are already there. But if I click new here, it's going to create me a new potential license. That's what this would potentially be. It would be a license. So it all depends on what module or what entity you are in as it relates to what the command bar is going to do for you when you engage it. Okay, and of course you have all these different options up here. These are pretty self-explanatory, and also these are the same options that you would have had in 2011 and 2016. So they're essentially the same options. You can run reports on this data on select records or all of them if you would like. You can export different data to Excel. You can import different data into this list, and you can also access FTG help from these entities. Okay? All right. Another big change that a lot of people asked for was the ability to change your entry on a lookup. Okay? And what a lookup is generally, I'm going to show you this on the contact record. That's the best example. But generally what a lookup can be described as is a field that allows you to search within a specific entity. And what that would mean is, like, if I'm searching for a specific contact record, I can type in George and then tab, and it'll bring me up all the Georges that are in the contact record entity. But what you couldn't do before is once you select something inside of the lookup, you couldn't change it. You couldn't edit it at all. You either had to go with what the lookup found for you, or you had to, delete the whole entry and retype it in. On the new platform, it actually allows you to edit your lookup. So, if you misspelled the last name and that's the only reason why the record isn't coming up, you can simply hit backspace and go ahead and edit that lookup now. So that's one of the bigger changes as it relates to navigation, because I know a lot of people, just simply didn't use the lookup functionality. They just went ahead and clicked on the magnifying glass and selected the record because of the fact that you weren't able to edit this text in here. But now you are, and I will give you a brief demo of that in just a second. But that is another functionality that has been added on the 365 platform. And here's just another slide giving you a little bit more of a visual of what that's going to look like. Again, I am going to show you that in just a few slides. Now, after you adjust the lookup, you can go ahead and press enter, and it'll, basically look up again and try to find this entry. And when it finds it, it'll turn blue, just like it is in the slide, and that means that you have successfully added or found the record that you were looking for using the lookup functionality. All right, so let's jump back in here and take a look at that new lookup functionality. Okay, so this is a good example where I can just write, let me look at some of these types first, so I can just put business license. And notice I'm going to leave an S out of business, and I'm just going to press tab here. Okay. Now, as you can see, it didn't find anything because my entry wasn't correct. It's misspelled, right? So basically, what I should be able to do is look it up. Let's try it on the contact. Go ahead and select this record and create the license. Of course, it's not going to let me do it on the business license. I forgot about that. Oops, subdocument type. Give me one quick second. Okay. So I created it. I just clicked way too fast. Let's go back in and open this license up so we can see this lookup functionality here. All right. So there should be a contact in here named me. I think what the problem that I'm having here is that there is no contacts in here with the values that I'm coming up with. So we'll bypass that and we'll leave that for another webinar. But the slides that I showed you are definitely that new functionality of where you can edit the lookup. I would suggest that you practice it. You should just be able to click on it after you type something in it, and then go ahead and edit your entry. Of course, there was the functionality of being able to create your own views in 2011 as well as 2016. That functionality is still within 365. You can also run reports off of views that you build within an advanced find or different queries that you build. There's going to be a drop-down list of standard views available, which are the same views that I showed you earlier in the demo, and I'll go back to it after we go through a few of these slides. But it's those same system views that you will see in different entities. Okay. And here's a good visual of what that looks like. These are what are known as system views, and then your views that you build on your own within an advanced find will be found down here. Okay, and you still have the same functionality to be able to share them, assign them to people, give people different privileges to the view, so on and so forth. All right, that brings us to the end of my presentation. Before we go, though, I do want to go back in here and show you the views, just so you can see them. Here you'll see nothing but system views, because this is kind of a vanilla system, so we don't have any personal views created in here. I don't specifically, but this is the licensing view. Okay, if I switch the module or switch the entity to registrations, these are all the registration views here, and you only have two, so you only have inactive and active. So if I switch it to citizen interactions, which are basically complaints, you'll see that I have a couple of different options here as well. Okay, just like 2016, it's always going to default to my records, regardless of what module you go into. So if I come over here to case, it's always going to default to the my active case records view, unless I switch the view and then pin said view to my main screen. So just wanted to give you a good heads up to that. Here is my personal information. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Let me look at this chat box real quick. Doesn't look like I have any questions in the chat box, so I'm going to thank you guys for your participation, and hope to see you next time.